So we've done a lot so far. We got our enemy moving towards our character. We got him animating when he's walking, and we got him flipping or facing the right direction according to where our player character is. What we need to do now is we need to just add a little bit more functionality to our movement here by really cleaning up how our enemy walks over to our player. We want him walking over to just the optimal spot to start beating the crap out of him. Because that right there, I mean, that's not good. Look at that. That's terrible. So let's get into it. All right. So we need to make some new game objects for our Gambit. We need to go back and revisit our Gambit prefab. So let's clean up my hierarchy a little bit. Let's just deactivate our Sentinel for now. And we're going to go back to Gambit. And why don't we place him back in the middle of our grid here? So what we need to do is we're going to designate a front target for Gambit and a back target for Gambit. And then we're going to say, okay, Sentinel, if you're closer to the back target, go in for the sneak attack from behind. But if you're closer to the front of Gambit, just go in and face him face to face. So we're going to make some empty game objects real quick, though. Let's create some empties and reset those transforms over here in your inspector. And we're going to say enemy front target. And why don't we move it over? Be about right there. I found that 1 unit X over is pretty good. And I want to duplicate that. And I want to make a enemy back target. And why don't we say that the -1? So I'm going to nest this under Gambit now, both of them. So now Gambit has these two targets. And no matter where Gambit goes, those two targets will follow him now. And why don't we go ahead and select my Gambit prefab, the parent object here, and let's apply that to the prefab. So now our Gambit prefab is updated with these new targets right here. Leave them activated. Do not deactivate them because they need to be in play here. And now our Sentinel can basically go to the front or back of our Gambit really easily with that setup. So why don't we move our Gambit back out of the way, and let's bring back in our bad boy Sentinel. So we need to go in. This is pretty much going to be like all about enemy sight here. Because what we need to do is, instead of just saying our target's going to be the player no matter what, now we need to start adjusting what our target is. Is it going to be our front of our character player, or is it going to be the back of our player? And we're going to do that just by how close our enemy is to those two targets. So again, let's start with variables. Let's make a public game object called front target. And make another, and you guessed it, back target. And let's make some public floats. Front target distance. Back target distance. Again, paying special mind to your syntax. Cardinal case, lowercase front word, or the first word, and then uppercase the rest of those words in there. I don't know why I remind you guys of that. Y'all should be pretty used to it by now. So we have 4 new variables. Now let's play with them. First, we need to assign what the front and back targets are on our game objects. And we're not going to do that by just dragging and dropping our, we could just go to Sentinel. The easy way would be like, oh, okay. Did I save? Let me save that. You guys need to start reminding me to save. Quit being so quiet. All right. So that would just be easy. Be like, okay, enemy back target could be that. And then the front target could be that. I don't think that that's what we should do. I think we need to specify these in the code. So let me get rid of that. I don't want to drag and drop those variables over there. So we're going to do that in the code. So we're going to go to awake. And we're going to say front target equals game object find. And we're just going to find the game object with its name. Enemy front target. Of course, we're going to do that for the back. So now, I saved that time, I swear. We're going to hit play. And if we look here, we have front target assigned and back target assigned. All right, so now let's put them to use. All right, so let's go to update. And now we need to find our front target distance and our back target distance. All right, so how are we going to do that? Well, don't we have a target? Didn't we figure out how we can do target distance like that? Can we do that, I wonder? I don't know, let's try that. Say front target distance equals vector 3 dot distance. We're not doing dot products. And we need to say, what are we trying to find the distance of? Front target dot transform dot position. And this game object's transform position. And I'm just going to copy and paste this line of code right below it. And let's change out some keywords. Back target position, back target position. Hit Control S. I'm constantly saving and testing. That way, if I have any errors in syntax or anything, I know exactly where it is because I just changed some code. All right, so there we go. And something interesting is happening right here. I'm moving back and forth with Gambit right here. And notice how the values for front and back target distance change. Since I'm flipping my Gambit character, the front target right here now is right here, so it's farther away, right? And vice versa for the back target. So now I found the two distances between my targets, front and back. Now I just need to have a simple conditional statement saying, okay, Sentinel, go to the closest target to you. So why don't we just go ahead and type in that little code right there. If front target distance is less than back target distance, then we're going to update our target. Target equals front target, else if back target distance, or actually, I guess we can keep the same. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so basically I just said whatever distance closer, we're going to update our target. And you know what we need to do? We need to get rid of this line right here because our target is no longer just our player, but rather this right here. And our target distance is right there now. Why don't we go ahead and move this line of code down here? Because remember, we need to find our target. We need to assign our target a value before we can start figuring out the distance to that target. All right. So, position and all that stuff really matters. All right. If I hit Control S and save, see if there's any syntax errors or anything crazy going on. All right. So now what we should see on the enemy site is basically about the same thing. But now if you'll pay attention to target, see, we can change. It changes depending on which way Gambit is facing. See how it changes? So if we go close to my Sentinel now, let's see what happens. Well, he's stopping in front of my character now, right in front, but he's still kind of sliding around. So why don't we go ahead and fix that sliding? Look at him just ice skating around. I think this is going to pretty much just be adjusting parameters within our inspector. All right, cool. So let's do that right now. I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set our stopping distance to like really low, like 0.05. I think the next thing we need to do is I know we did something in enemy walk. We select enemy walk right there. Yeah, our target distance is saying when we get within 1 meter of our target distance, which was at the time was our player character. So we wanted to kind of give some breathing room between our enemy and our player. But now it's so low. I don't think we need something that's so high. So let's say 0.1. Let's see if that works. And that value is hard coded in. I don't really like it. But whenever we finish our stuff, our AI lessons up, that hard coded value is going to disappear. There we go. And we're still getting a little bit of sliding. So I think what is going on is something in our nav mesh is keeping him from really just stopping on a dime here. Let's say 0. And I'm updating while our play is going on. So when you do that, notice how I changed the stopping distance to 0. If I unpress play, our stopping distance goes back to 5 there. That's not good. So make sure when you're making changes, you're not in play mode. But you can make changes to test stuff. Just remember what you're doing. Is it auto brake that's doing it? Auto brake's keeping them from wobbling around. All right. Is it the speed or acceleration? Well, let's take a look at some other things. Yeah, I was taking a look at it, and I think we're just going to have to live with the sliding for right now because I think it'll be fixed whenever we start adding in our attacks. Because in the next lesson, whenever our character gets close enough, he's going to start attacking Gambit here. And I know it'll definitely be fixed when we set up our state machine for controlling all of our behaviors of our Sentinel. So for right now, let's just call this done here. I mean, we got our Sentinel tracking the back. Look, he's going in for the back attack here. Let me just let me maximize this and we can see what's really going on. It's almost starting to look like a beat 'em up now. Yeah, so whenever our player Sentinel gets close enough, he'll start attacking. Hopefully that'll cut down on some of the sliding. We'll make it work. But for all intents and purposes, there's a little bit of visual, you know, visual not so, it's not that great looking to have him sliding. But we'll work around it. But look at him. I mean, he's already flipping around when we get on the right side. And this is brilliant with our targeting system. Notice how whenever we go across the threshold, the Sentinel now tries to back around and go towards the back. He's always going towards that front side there. So, we'll be able to start beating the heck out of our Sentinel very shortly. So that does it for this video. We got our targeting system set up. We got our character, our enemy animating. We got him flipping the right way. And we got him moving towards our player. Everything we've sought out to do so far is coming along pretty good. So in the next video, we're going to start looking at how we can start getting our Sentinel or our enemy to start attacking our player.